him the most for are probably two things, and they're probably the same two things that everybody will remember him for. I think first and foremost, his way with words, and his language. He had a language of his own, really.
First of all, his unique dialect, number one, and his unique phrases of speech.
You always knew where he stood. He was never shy about sharing his feeling or his thoughts, whether it was for you or for what happened or for what was going on. You always knew exactly how he felt about something or what was happening. There was no doubt about that.
And anyone who came in contact with him that was lacking a work ethic soon learned one. And if you had the opportunity to work for him, such as I did, cleaning the bathrooms, you learned what his expectations were rather quick.
He'd come to work when the sun came up, and he would go home when his day's work was done. And at the end of the day, he just put a checkbox on his timesheet. Every day he came to work, he put a checkbox. It didn't matter whether he worked 8 or 10 or 12 hours, 14 hours, he just put a checkbox. He had a job to do, he believed in the job that he was doing, and he wasn't going home till it was done.
There's a lot of stories about Karl, and a lot of them have to do with him and Ted Runner, because I was always like the translator between the two of them. Just listening to them two argue about the same thing. You know, Karl had his way in German and Ted had his way in English, wherever it was, and I always carried the wit up, and then from there, but probably one of my favorite stories with Karl is that I think it was Dr. Moore when he was the president. You know, he was always out there, like, you know, handshaking people and stuff, and he asked Karl, he goes, "Hey, Karl, is there anything I can help you do? Just let me know." And Karl just hands him a broom, you know, and tells him to start sweeping, you know. And then he wasn't scared to talk to anybody or make anybody work, you know, or was it yelling at the football players for taking their tape off their ankles and trying to make a basket in the trash can and miss, you know. It was just things like that.
The big mower equipment that they had at the time. And my dad wanted these lines to, you know, he says, "I watch these games on TV and they make a checkerboard, so I want them straight this way and straight back." And the mower man at that particular time wasn't that cognizant of exactly making it straight. And my dad kind of went over there and he tried to explain what he wanted, you know. Well, Merle, our mower man, he used to mow at the cemetery, and my dad goes, "Well, that explains it. The dead people don't care." He says, "From now on, I'll mow this thing because I care. Give Merle something else to do." And that's kind of how my dad got the job of mowing it. But he says, "I don't understand. You just aim at something and you drive and it comes out straight all the time." He goes, "I don't know why this was going all over the place."
One night after another high school football game, Karl was working cleaning the stadium, and a lady had lost her keys. She thought she had lost them, but eventually she found them in the car. By the time she realized they were in the car, everybody was gone. So she came in and asked Karl for some help, asked him if he had a coat hanger so that she could unlock her car. And he said no, he didn't have a coat hanger, but he'd see if he could help her. So he took a wire and they went out into the parking lot, and he tried to open the car for a couple minutes, and he had a lot of work to do and just didn't have much time, so they were unsuccessful. After a couple minutes, he looked at her and said, "Do you have insurance?" And she said, "Yes, I have insurance. Why?" And he bent over, picked up a rock, broke her window, reached in, grabbed her keys, handed her to her, and said, "Here you go home, have a good night, and call the insurance company on Monday." And he went back to work.
I think the greatest contributions were the grounds. My dad took a lot of pride in the grounds and his management of the grounds. And my dad was very proud of his fields.
Karl, a feather to his cap, he kept the grass just gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. And he was pretty much a one-man show, he along with Ted Runner.
Both my dad and Ted Runner, they got palm trees that were growing in the orange groves that were down there by the railroad track, and moved them with our equipment, our manpower, student help, and brute strength and awkwardness, and put a lot of that stuff together. They went and collected stones from Mentone, truckload after truckload of stones with students, faculty help, and placed those stones. I think they're still there. They did improvements. They put the press box on top of the stadium. They redid Courier Gymnasium. They, there was always a project that they had going on.
Carl's probably one of the hardest working men that I've ever been involved with in my life. I mean, he comes to concrete work. He's did all the like the ramp coming down to the stadium. I know he built the Bulldog sign. I helped him build dugouts. The guy was just a tireless worker. I mean, I don't think he ever got paid for all the hours he worked because he just made that his home. I helped him carry wood up to the press box when the old press box got built. Of course, Ted Runner was always with us, so it was always him and Ted Runner, and then they just all the things that we built there. It was amazing. He's such a tireless worker. You know, we cleaned the stadium after a football game, and we'd work till 1 in the morning because he said we have to clean it up before the crows come and carry the trash away. So I met him back at 6 a.m. in the morning, and we were hosing down and stuff. And I was just a student worker, limited to 15 hours a week, but I loved working with him so much that I always worked a lot more just because he was just a great man to be around and always had great advice about work ethic, life, and everything like that. I mean, you look at the facilities today of what he did, it's really started with Karl and Ted Runner, and not taking anything from Ted Runner because he's deserving with this stadium, but Ted once told me, he says, John, he goes, this stadium should be named after Karl, just because of all the work Karl did, but Ted was always working with him too, but Karl, he gave his life and blood to that school.
He set a standard back in the 70s and 80s, along with Ted Runner, for the expectations of what our facilities would look like. And it's a lot of work and takes some resources to carry that legacy on, but anything less than that is unacceptable. And so I think that's the legacy that he leaves. We aspire to keep the fields in the condition that they've been in really since the 70s and 80s when Karl took them over, and certainly thousands of young people have benefited from being able to play in the facilities in the conditions that they are.
If Karl were here, I know what he would wear to the banquet. I know exactly. He would probably come off the field having just mowed it, fertilized it, put all the rocks in with Runner around it. And I wanted to send out a congratulatory message to Horst on behalf of his father. Well deserved. The family, I wish he was here. We all wish he was here. He's laying rocks up in heaven right now. And he's, I'm sure, causing the angels to cringe with his unique means of identifying you as one of his favorite folks. Anyway, congratulations, Karl Schnur.
Hey, Karl. I know if you're out there looking down on us, but I think it's something that's well deserved. That's probably should happen a while ago. But I mean, I'm happy for your family, Horst. I know you always talked about your grandkids back in those days, and everybody's so proud of you, Karl. And I still live my life following in your footsteps, the way you taught me how to work ethic and the things that you do. So, congratulations, Karl.
Karl, congratulations. I know you're up there looking down, kind of shaking your head, thinking, why are we doing this? But there are a tremendous number of reasons of why we're doing. You're so deserving of this honor, and certainly left a legacy in all of our facilities and a work ethic that we all learn from. So congratulations. Thank you for a job well done, and God bless.
Ladies and gentlemen, representing Hall of Fame inductee Karl Schnur is his son Horst Schnur. Presenting Karl's award is John Fouch, a student worker of Karl's and athletic facility supervisor following Karl's retirement.